Juggalos in recovery. Juggalos in recovery. Juggalos in recovery.
Meeting's now started. Tez has
Oh, he
left.
really left.
Oh, well, that happens. So today we're going to be talking about setting and achieving goals. But before we get started with that, I got to mention our PayPal, which is paypal.me/juggalos in recovery. Send us a donation. It is a tax write-off since we are a 501c3. So the song of this week was It Rains Diamonds off of Shangri-La. So on the song, they talk about a little bit about the challenges and rewards inside of setting goals for yourself. Lyrics discuss the idea of striving for something better and the struggles of trying to escape from negative situations. It speaks about the concept of trying to get away from our problems and how this may lead to new people. Right. Let me get back to notes. So it speaks about the concept of trying to get away from our problems and how this may lead to falling back into the same negative pattern or feeling denied. Lyrics also mention the idea of people turning into the devil over money. It implies that money can bring out the negative in us all and change us into something that we may not be aware of. In recovery settings, and setting and achieving goals can help us move away from negative patterns and situations and towards more positive and fulfilling goals. By setting goals and working towards them, we can gain a sense of purpose and direction, which can be particularly important in early stages of recovery. When the process can be challenging and disorienting, the idea of actually being able to achieve something, especially in that early stage, is just so fulfilling. Because at that time period, we don't really have that structure that we had made for ourselves like a lot of us do later in recovery. Setting and achieving goals gives us that drive to keep pushing forward even when things seem the most difficult. The idea of Shangri-La in the lyrics of It Rains Diamonds can also be seen as a metaphor for the ultimate goal of recovery. In the song, Shangri-La is described as a place where it rains diamonds, where eternal happiness exists and poverty does not. And it's inviting for everybody. This idea of a perfect and inviting utopia could be understood as the metaphor for the ideal state for us to strive for, where an individual has reached a state of physical, emotional, spiritual well-being and contentment. The metaphor inside of Shangri-La highlights this idea that recovery is an ongoing process of self-improvement, and it's a journey that never ends. It implies that perfection is unobtainable, and that in recovery, we may never reach the ultimate goal, but the process of working towards it can bring us a sense of happiness and commitment. So in that vein, kind of the idea that is pushed by a lot of your average 12-step programs is that once you're in recovery, you're always going to be in recovery. There is no ultimate state of just being like everybody else. We're always going to have that history where we've got that want that stays with us forever to use, to drink, to drug, whatever your current addiction was at that time. This whole idea that we are striving for the unattainable is something that we end up having to make peace with. But it's still something that we're trying to work towards. And part of this process is setting and achieving these small goals, even when they seem entirely impossible at the beginning. Like Dee said in past meetings, one of his ultimate goals was to buy a house. And dude was locked up at one point. went to living in a halfway house, and kept setting these small goals. And ultimately, by achieving all these small goals, he used those as stepping stones to get to these bigger, unattainable goals that most of us would have never had the opportunity to had we not made right decisions. In line with this, the lyrics also convey that the ultimate goal may be unattainable, but the process of working towards it can bring us happiness and contentment. It's important to remember that not all goals are achievable, but it's still worth working towards them. The process of setting and achieving those goals, even if they are not always achieved, can still bring us a sense of purpose and direction, which is important when you're first starting. Furthermore, recovery is a journey of self discovery, and it's important for us to be true to ourselves and our values, regardless of the challenges or obstacles that may come along the way. By understanding the metaphor in Shangri La and in the lyrics, we can find inspiration and motivation to work towards our own goals, our own ideas of recovery, whether it's a perfect state or not, as long as it brings us contentment. Being content and just being okay with where you are is so difficult, especially once you hit kind of that midway point in recovery, because everybody's used to hitting those milestone points, that 1 week, that 1 month, 3 months, 9 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years. Once you hit those huge milestones, you don't have much to look forward to. You don't see those goals as quickly as you used to. And that usually causes people to stumble because now they're waiting so much longer for that gratification that 1 month or 2 months, 3 months, 9 months had given them. Those were things that they could see in sight. And that's why it's important to be setting these other small goals so you can still feel like you're achieving something and you're working towards something and you're not just focusing on these milestones. One important message that's in the lyrics that ICP conveys to Juggalos is the idea of holding on to hope and determination. It is important for us to hold on to hope in the face of challenges and setbacks and not to give up. It is also important for us to hold on to determination as an essential part of achieving goals, because it takes persistence and dedication to achieve these long-term change. It is essential for us to set realistic and achievable goals that align with our values and priorities. It's important to remember that the recovery process is a journey of self-discovery, and it's essential for us to be true to ourselves regardless of our challenges or obstacles that may come, and the goals that may not be achievable today may be achievable in the future.